On October 24th, 2000, this monument was designated by Congress to protect the lands out here with the landscape bordering all the cities along the Coachella Valley. And that was with a lot of growth and development occurring out here and a lot of community members and representatives wanting to see some open space protecting this landscape with all these great values we have here. So we're very fortunate now to have this landscape and protect over 280,000 acres of land. The monument boundary goes up from the base of the mountains up to the tops of the ridgeline. So all the cities basically along Highway 111, incorporating like the city of Palm Springs, Cathedral City, Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, Indian Wells, La Quinta, and out towards Coachella. All of these are local communities here in the Coachella Valley that are basically right up against the boundary of the monument. We do work with other partners that also have lands within the monument. If you look at our maps, it's very checkerboard. So it's not just, again, federal lands in here. We have state lands with ecological reserves. We also have tribal lands that are within this unit. And then there are local cities that have government ownership. And then we also have nonprofits and private groups that have lands and parcels in the greater landscape here. This monument was designated for specific values that it offered for the public to enjoy. So values such as biological resources, cultural, geological, recreational, educational, and even scientific values were specific objectives and reasons why this landscape, why this monument was designated, and why we have it today for people to enjoy.
Here in the lower Sonoran Desert, it is a very arid climate and temperatures can reach up to 120 degrees in the summer. And so these plants out here and animals have to really conserve their energy and have special defense mechanisms to help them survive in this harsh habitat. Our research has found that the population of desert tortoise in the Santa Rosa Mountains has been steadily growing, and we are finding new populations around the mountains, and that's why we're continuing to survey. We have BLM staff, ACE interns that we work with, also volunteers and citizen science groups out here monitoring the tortoises and just surveying the land and seeing if they find anything, and they report back to us. And so it's great to see the population growing as they are an endangered species. One of the ways we educate people about desert tortoise is our animal ambassador, Bowser, and we like to host tortoise talks and let the public know the critical issues and the studies going on to help preserve the desert tortoise.
The Forest Service works with the Bureau of Land Management in this cooperative effort here on the National Monument to manage recreation sites, trails, and doing projects such as the Tamarisk Project. About 15 years ago, we identified a lot of tamarisk in Palm Canyon, and with that, the Forest Service and the BLM, with help with volunteer horsebackers, have brought people into Palm Canyon to remove that tamarisk. It's important to remove the tamarisk to bring the water table back up a little bit. The tamarisk removal project has been very successful over the course of 15 years. They've taken out approximately 50 to 60% of that invasive species. And with that, the water tables hopefully will start to rise a little bit in the lower part of the canyon.
One of the great things with the monument being able to do research here as a living laboratory is within the Santa Rosa Mountains and the San Jacinto Mountains, we have quite a diversity of habitats. Again, we have 5 distinct life zones, which is like traveling from Mexico to Canada in one day within a very compacted area. So it's very interesting for scientists to have this kind of environment to study in within such a short span of just a few miles traveling in and out of different life zones, different habitats and ecosystems. So we're very fortunate to have this diversity and have so many different types of habitats with unique species and different forms of flora and fauna that are specific to these habitats and ecosystems, that it just makes for a lot of great biodiversity here, which again makes it a great place for people to want to study, do research with having a lot of biodiversity. We're actually known as a biodiversity hotspot with this monument because of that. And we line out research projects where we train volunteers, get them out, and help us inventory, monitor, and assess different resources that are important and for reasons why this monument was designated. With working with community scientists, it's great. We've got multiple tools that we can use and engage them.
Community scientists are volunteer scientists. We collect data, for instance, things like date, time, temperature, elevation, GPS points. We also take photographs to study the effects of climate change on the plants and animals here in the National Monument. We know that there simply are not enough research scientists in the world to collect all of the data that needs to be done.
Bureau of Land Management has come to us to create a science program, and none of the other organizations and federal or state agencies are doing that. These national monuments, part of the Bureau of Land Management suite of projects across the nation, should have a science plan. And when you looked at the portfolio of all of the national monuments, almost none of them did. This was one of the first opportunities in California to actually create a science plan that would allow us to assess the resources over time to make sure that we are in fact protecting what we hope to protect here. But it was pretty clear that kind of monitoring effort was way beyond the capacity of the Bureau of Land Management or the University of California to do on their own. And so we designed it specifically to be a program that would be ongoing using community scientists, the volunteers that are from the local community. So what we're looking at, again, hottest, driest place in North America. So what do we want to learn about that? And it's really rugged here. So we limited ourselves to access trails. We didn't want to disturb anything that wasn't already being disturbed on its own. And using these trails as transects into the monument to figure out along gradients of elevation what is happening. So at the lowest elevations, it's the hottest and driest. At the highest elevation, it's the coolest and wettest. And as we move up in elevation along these trails, it's a gradient of moisture and heat. And what we have found so far and what we continue to see are animals and plants of all types are shifting their distributions to higher, cooler, and wetter elevations over time, even in that short amount of time that we've been looking at since 2016.
One of the elements addressed in the science plan is actually monitoring water resources to see what's available for wildlife long-term management and really assess, inventory how those sources are doing over time to help us manage the landscape, make sure that we have a healthy ecosystem out here. So we're still actively having staff and volunteers go out to keep tabs on these 200 plus water resources and see how are they faring. And I know recent surveys that were conducted just last year, we have noted that more of these water resources are going dry. So this is a really great plant when you start seeing hummocks of mesquite out. And again, we're surrounded over here by a cove of honey mesquite. You can see with the compound leaves, starting to get some flowers, so we'll put out some mesquite pods. But again, that's a really important indicator for water being present in this area. So again, I would assume with not finding water at the surface like we have in the past, that we probably have groundwater somewhere since these are doing very well and lush. And this plant is doing well compared to some of the other plants in the area that are not as green looking.
We knew that there were plants that were dying in certain areas, and if there's plants that are dying in areas at certain elevations, that means that the animals that feed on those plants may die also. Or does it mean that those animals are migrating to a different area, a higher elevation, and finding food in that area so that they are still able to survive in this national monument?
Science plan also looks at cultural resources that we need to identify within our science plan as well to manage those. There's also recreational values that we want to look at and assess as part of the science plan, how recreation may impact certain resources. So just recently, we did have the USGS out, and they were doing a trail study, looking at effects with some of our trails and seeing how recreation may be impacting our endangered peninsular bighorn sheep out here. Seeing that some of the areas sheep are a little bit more hanging back, staying away from where people are when they see them out on trails. And they've noticed some areas that the sheep don't seem to mind with people, being out there, seeing them, to show that there may not be effects for recreation on the species. So that's kind of been an ongoing key piece with looking at that right now, at least getting some of that early data that will help us, know with what's best for, do we need seasonal closures? Do we need to do permits? Always stuff like that, thinking of, do we need to limit people in certain areas? Stuff to really help drive our management to know what's the best decision and a good balance for, again, this multiple use out here.
The data that we collect with this group of volunteers is far superior to what we could have done on our own. I sometimes will hike these trails on my own, or in my head will record what I see compared to what they've added to it. And it is almost, I can say with some confidence that I'll see about half of what's out there, and they see everything else.
One of my hopes for the future for this place would be just to keep building up these great collaborations, great partnerships with all of our partners and different organizations out here. And we know that people value it for different reasons, so we're hoping as we keep expanding programs and working with others that we can keep hitting upon these different values and making sure everybody has a reason why they value this national monument, why it's important to them. Making sure that that next generation of conservationists grow up out here realizing how important spaces like this monument are, or other nature centers that we have out here. A lot of work, but the hard work has paid off, that everything's going as smoothly as can be with all things considered for, again, managing 280,000 plus acres of land out here.